Thank you. It's an honor to be here, and isn't this a great country? This is an amazing country, and you have made it that. You know, your comments about leadership brought back to me a few thoughts. My cousin was George Patton IV, and obviously my uncle's George Patton III, but George Patton IV served in Vietnam, 3 tours. And I can remember, I was blessed also, some of you in this room may remember there was a Donald M. Schmuck who was breveted in Korea and then went on to serve in Laos and Cambodia. And I was also blessed to have a cousin, Bobby Seamans, who was the Secretary of the Air Force. So in our family, there was quite a bit of talk about the importance of the military and the importance of having a mission that you could understand and a direction that you could go. And I think of those men when you say that. And I remember them as individuals, family members, and so on. But it's true that there is something that when you're called to duty, this isn't for me, I'm saying this about you. When you're called to duty, Americans stand up. They step forward and they do what they need to do. I remember the late Tom Strook, and I remember at his funeral service when they said he was first a Marine. And I think of my nephew, who is a Marine. And I think of that service year after year. And the fact that our country is what it is because of what you all, what we all have done together. And it is true, our country has struggles. And it is true that our country has always had struggles, but somehow, because we are the country we are, because we are Americans, we are the greatest country in the world. And I am very proud to have the honor to be the governor of Wyoming, because this is the greatest state in the greatest nation in the world. We are here in Casper today to honor those who served and sacrificed their lives in the Vietnam War. To go by that wall, whether it's here or whether it's on the Mall in Washington, you understand the depth of the commitment. You understand the depth of the commitment of the men and women who served. More than 3 million servicemen and women served in Southeast Asia, including approximately 2,700 from Wyoming. I have these numbers down so that I don't miss them. 58,267 members of the United States Armed Forces lost their lives in Vietnam, 120 of which were Wyoming fallen warriors who have their names etched on that wall out there. 1,711 Americans remain unaccounted for, 5 of whom are from Wyoming. Specialist Harry B. Cohn from Riverton, May 12, 1968. Lieutenant Orville D. Cooley from Range, January 16, 1968. Lieutenant Colonel Joseph L. Hart from Afton in Laos, February 25th, 1967. First Lieutenant Alva R. Krogman from Worland in Laos on January 17th, 1967. Warrant Officer First Class Tom Skiles, I knew him, from Buffalo in Cambodia on December 19th, 1971. We honor those that have fallen, and we remember those that are unaccounted for, and we remember all of those who served. Thank you very much for your service. thank you to your families, because those of you who have served, as my wife and her family remember very, very, very poignantly, families are incredibly important to those who serve. And too often we forget that families suffer often almost as much as those who have served. You know, Wyoming continually remembers the service and the commitment and the sacrifices that every veteran has given in defense of our freedom and in defense of our country. I think about something my cousin George said. He said, you know, in my 3 tours in Vietnam, all of the soldiers that I served with, pretty much frontline soldiers, were the best I'd seen in any war. Now remember, he had been in both Korea and in Vietnam. And he said, you know, we were up against incredibly difficult rules of engagement. And I think about that, and I think about what you all had to do. And I think about the demands that our country put on you. And I thank you for that. And I remember my good friend, John Wilson, a veterinarian from up in Sheridan, and the stories he told about in all of those terrible conditions. He was a veterinarian that would go into villages and take care of villagers, pigs and cows. That's what we Americans do. You have made this a great country. Let's hope we can keep it that way. God bless you, and thank you very much. And I am honored to pass this to our keynote speaker, Eric. Thank you.